So, ladies and gents, the next session is, it's time for sports to think like a creator, but what exactly does that mean? And it's a great pleasure to welcome up to take you through this Ed Abis, who's the CEO of Display. We've got Joe Redfern. Lovely to see you, Joe, who's the founder of Futurehood Media. And we've got Mark Goldbridge, who many of you will know is the presenter and the co-owner of the United Stand. Come on up, have yourselves a seat. Have I got that right? Yes. No, I haven't got that right. Are you taking over?
I'll take over.
Good. Joe's taking over.
Welcome, everyone. Now, alas, we don't have Mark Goldbridge, but we do have Manny Brown with us today. Unfortunately, Mark wasn't able to make it. But come in, sit yourselves down, make yourselves comfortable, because we're going to crack on talking about how sports media can think more like a creator. Ed. Yes. I'm going to introduce my co-host, Ed, before we say hello to Manny, because Ed actually works quite closely with Mark, so I'm going to let you explain away his absence, Ed.
Yeah, so Mark had a whisper, but a player may or may not sign for Man United today. So content first for Mark, which meant that he can't make it, and I've got to speak on his behalf now. But before we do that as well, obviously there's been some news today about Diogo Jota, who plays for Liverpool, and I think on the back of that as well, I don't think anything else is going to go on in the football world, so obviously, really sad news about that. And Manny, I know you've worked with Diogo as well, so probably got a few words.
It's one of those things that just puts life back into perspective for you, calms you in the moment, and makes you realize that sometimes things are more important and you need to slow down sometimes. But yeah, very sad news.
It is indeed, and thank you. So, thinking like a creator, I'm sure many of you have heard the words, we need a creator strategy. If I had £1 for every time I'd heard that phrase in the last year, I'd probably be on a desert island now. But this creator economy, actually thinking like a creator, and what does that even mean in sports media is what we wanted to dig into today. So we're really delighted that Manny was able to join us, because Manny is a creator, has over 2 million subs on his main YouTube channel, and has been creating on the platform for a good long while. So we thought no one better whose brains that we can pick about this idea of thinking like a creator than Manny. So with that in mind, what does thinking like a creator mean? What does it mean to you?
I think it's just that freedom to be organic, relatable, and just bring a sort of fun and energy to whatever you do. So even for most of us that started out with YouTube, I've been doing it for, it's going to be 12 years in a week. We just started doing it for fun, playing games, playing sports with our friends, and it was just the cool thing to do back then. No one wanted to explode and become a sensation or whatever. But I think it's just a case of just being yourself, and that's something that I've always tried to do in my content. And then in doing that, creating a community that also feels like they like you, they can relate to you, they can sort of understand that you are a normal person doing the things that they wish to do. So it kind of makes whatever you do become a cool thing.
Yeah. It's kind of a closeness, isn't it? It's a closeness of a relationship that creators have really kind of developed over the last few years with fans through YouTube. Again, I mean, how many of you have got kids, and how many of your kids live their lives through these things? You know, they've developed these parasocial relationships with creators that are much closer, physically closer in terms of screen, but actually closer in terms of relationship than a lot of traditional sports media has had. How I mean, you work with Mark. Is that how he looks at it as well? I mean, he's a slightly different creator in that he's very news and very live driven, as we've discussed. Yeah. How does he think about that kind of closeness to his audience? I
think, very similar to Manny. I think he lives and dies by his community in a similar kind of way, right? He sees what he does, you know, every time he goes live as a shared experience, that even though there are hundreds of thousands of people watching that live experience, people who are watching it wherever they are feel like they're having a direct conversation with him. They could be in a coffee shop or down the pub, and it feels like he's addressing them in a way that I guess traditional media doesn't really talk to viewers or fans of that kind of content. And I know he believes deeply in that if what he's doing is not resonating with the audience, he changes it up, because otherwise that's the end of the live stream that he's doing in any particular moment.
Yeah, I think it's different to like when you're watching like a live broadcast of like pundits on a panel or something. the only opinion that matters is theirs in that moment. Whereas like as a creator, because they have that close relationship with you, they feel like not just as your opinion matter, but theirs does too. There's feedback that they can give to you and engage with you. And I think that's what's different in the case with creators. So a lot of people are flocking towards that side because they can have that sort of bond with you.
Yeah.
And also their opinion can be heard rather than just watching it on, say, for example, like a match of the day and it's just so-and-so's opinion.
I mean, I spent most of my career in kids media, and if I know anything about kids, is that they want this participatory relationship with media. They want to co-create, they want to share, but with their favorite creators, they do want to have that two-way conversation. So let's dig into that a little bit. You know, your community, well, one, how important is your community to you? I'm suspecting very important. So how then do you listen to them?
Through comments, is it constructive feedback? Whatever it is, I might do something in a video and like, I think it's the greatest thing. And someone goes, actually, no, I didn't like that. You could do it that way. So because I can have that sort of instant feedback, I can go back, correct myself and realize, actually, no, this is what the people want to see. So it's kind of finding a fine line between what you want to do and what they want to digest and see and what they want to turn on the TV to like watch their dinner with and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just about getting that feedback from them and also learning how to adjust, go with trends. And you'll see like the bigger people like Sky and stuff now doing those things with stuff like Baller League. It's something where when I first saw it, I thought maybe it might not be something that is digestible for the UK and that sort of audience. But when you look at it, it's ticking all the boxes. It's getting a younger audience, it's got creators and the mix of your traditional sort of footballers, ex-pros and stuff.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great format.
It's just, it's a smaller and more condensed format of football.
And how do you deal with that negative feedback? I'm assuming over the years you've built a bit of resilience, but it's worth getting, right?
Negative feedback is part of anything in life, and the bigger you grow, the more that you'll get. I remember the days when I used to see one dislike on my video and it ruined my whole mood. And my brother said to me, nah, it's gonna get worse than that. So I had to like thicken my skin to that stuff. And over time, it just becomes you can decipher what is constructive and what is just hate. So when you do that, it's easier to take criticism and like know what to apply and what to ignore.
Yeah. How does Mark deal with that? Because he comes in for some flack, right?
He obviously leans into it, right? And he fuels it more often than not. But look, you know, like, again, you guys are analysts in a lot of ways, right? Because you're constantly analysing the statistics that are available to you, and you've got the wherewithal to run with the changes that you need to make to that content as you're doing it, right? Because you're making content so often, and you can tweak it with Mark, obviously, because he's live. I think around the Europa Cup final, which was like the worst game of football I've seen in recent history, Mark leans into that, right? I think he created 6 videos live during the course of that day and had 2.5 million people watching it. And it wasn't really a celebration of football that day, right? Because they were the 2 worst teams that didn't get relegated. It was the worst game ever, and the goal was even worse. But he knows how to take that, and he knows that the audience think the exact same thing, so he leans into it. So in negativity, he's trying to make something positive out of it, and he has his way. And look, how you do things is different to how Mark do things, right? Everyone's got their own way of doing things. And just
but that's the power of creators, isn't it? Yeah. You know, in this world where we're talking about hyper-personalization, I heard it mentioned in the previous panel.
Niches are suddenly glable entities, right?
And you would gravitate towards those creators who reflect how you like to consume content and who speak and think and look like you. But that's quite difficult for broadcasters who are basically just broadcasting out, and they don't necessarily get that feedback. When you've worked with broadcasters, how have they found dealing with you, who works in a very different way to them? Have you ever found that there's a bit of a trust issue?
I feel like there's always a restriction. There's a bar that you can't, or a line that you can't cross naturally with anything. But I like to think I'm quite calm in nature, so I do get a bit of freedom. They know I'm not going to cross a line that shouldn't be crossed. But I think going forward, it could be better if there is that sort of trust to be able to allow a creator to create. Like, it's something that some of us have been able to do quite successfully. So as long as we're not doing anything that's crazy, we should be given that freedom to then create and share the same way that we do on our own channels, on a Sky, on the BBC or whatever it is.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't work if they try and squash you into a box, right? And again, particularly younger social first viewers can see that a mile off if they think something's been staged. How does, I mean, what's Mark's relationship with more traditional media?
Yeah, I think because of the nature of how Mark's work as well, people are generally scared to do things with him. And I think, look, that's part of the persona, right? That's part of playing up to the experience. And the reality is there is ways they could work. But I know, obviously, you'll know Jordan Barnett, right, from After Party Studios.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking with me the other day, and he's talking about what Specs has done with Sky. It doesn't have to be part of the broadcast, right? It's working with that media organisation to use the reach and the footprint that they have to create the kind of content that you're creating, but under their banner, because they've done a lot of stuff around the EFL and going behind the scenes. Because, you know, I've got a team who's just been promoted from the EFL to the Premier League. I'll probably be back again there next year. That you don't see enough of the stuff behind the scenes. A lot of these clubs or rights holders, they've got so much access that they never really give to fans.
They don't tap into it.
It's like the normality of it almost. They forget that that's the thing that no one ever sees.
And I think that there's also, you know, if a creator is invited in to that inner circle, they're not going to ruin that chance. They're actually, it's something that is going to be treated with respect. And I think sometimes a lot of traditional media or broadcasters or rights owners are so scared that something's going to go wrong. But actually, it wouldn't be in your interest to go in and hijack something. So it's something that really should be brought in a lot more.
I mean, from my personal experience, I've done a lot of work working with footballers. And when you go into the environment, first of all, they're like, don't do this, don't say that, don't. But initially, what I want to do is I want to humanize the footballer and get them away from that sort of corporate and, oh, don't say this, don't do that, and make them laugh, because that's what the audience wants to see. They want to see them footballers doing things that they are used to doing or relating to things that they relate to, which is why someone like Ola Aina for Nottingham Forest is one of the most watched people on Snapchat, because people want to see, oh, what's happening after you've won this game, you know? He'll say stuff like, oh my gosh, Salah's still staying in the Premier League, and everyone's like, that's quite funny, because he's a Premier League footballer, why is he scared of another, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think just humanizing people and allowing them to like be themselves, be organic, that is what is selling now.
And that's the kind of content that is the most valuable on YouTube, isn't it? Arguably, that's more valuable than the live rights or the highlights, because that is the stuff that really connects and builds that community. What's interesting that I've noticed in the last few months is there was this example of a creator on YouTube who's got a channel called Egg Chasers. He's a rugby fan. But actually, he then went and picked up some French second division rugby rights and he's going to start streaming them on his channel. So have we got this opportunity now for creators who not only connect with the audience and fans, but could they become a distribution channel now for leagues and rights holders? What's the plan, you know, going forward for that?
Yeah, Tim Cocker, obviously, I heard him speak last week at an event as well, and he was talking about how he just went to the French second division, and like, look, no one's watching that in the UK, right? But they've got some English players playing in it, and he said, look, I'll distribute it to my audience, and I'll get you a reach and engagement that you're just not getting anywhere, because at the moment, no one's watching French second division rugby in the UK, and I think there is that opportunity, because you'll have an opinion on a particular sport in a different way that Mark would, or someone else for that matter. But the reality is you're opening up your audience to that sport or that, you know, it doesn't have to be sport, it could be fashion, could be culture.
Ronaldo streams some live paddle as well.
The federation or even the traditional media organisation just won't get that reach, because the reality is the fans that they're looking to are not going to their channels, but they're out there, they're in the YouTubes and the TikToks, so work with the creators hand in hand and build your audience that way, and then it's beneficial for everyone then, because you're getting lots of access that you wouldn't normally have, right? And they're getting access to your audience that they wouldn't normally have.
It's similar with the sort of like Sky, YouTube, Baller League thing. It's a help me, help you thing.
Yeah.
We want the younger audience. You guys have that, and we're trying to create something that's going to be entertaining for everybody as a whole. So I think going forward, there's so much room for it. It's just having that open mind to try new things.
We've only got a few minutes left, but let's do that. Let's kind of look into that crystal ball and going forward. I mean, you've been a creator, as you said, you've been creating for 12 years. What do you see happening in the next few? How are things changing? Where do you think that you might end up?
Well, that's a good question. I think maybe going into those sort of roles where it can connect sort of like the old generation and the new generation, in terms of be that presenting, going behind the scenes, providing extra access to people, so they're getting bits that you wouldn't normally get, or they're getting uncut bits. Like, I've done some of the best shoots with footballers, and they will say the funniest thing, but immediately it's like, cut that out, you know. So I think maybe trying to bridge that gap between like the traditional way and the sort of new age, which is even getting further away from me. I'm 29 now, so.
But to your point, I think there's a lot that traditional sports media can learn from creators, but similarly, there's a lot that creators want to learn the other way, which I think is really interesting. And again, I was reading a report how, like, even the over 34s are now flocking to YouTube. It's increasingly being watched on connected TVs. So again, there's going to be a need for creators who know that platform and who know that audience better than traditional media has to lean in and help each other. What do you say, Ed?
I think you are going to see much more distribution by creators of even live rights as well. I mean, there's a number of sports federations we're speaking to at the moment that are doing non-exclusive content deals with broadcasters because they still need a broadcast number to speak to agencies and brands, because lots of agencies and brands love to give that number to CEOs. But the reality is, well, they know that the real engagement is going to happen through the digital and social channels. So they're enabling themselves to reach both markets. Because the reality is we live in a fragmented world, and part of the demographics still watching the traditional media, and part of the demographics over here. And none of it cannibalizes. So you've got to work out what your overarching distribution strategy is. And we're seeing more now that are thinking about it. The wheels are turning, not quite there yet, but in the next couple of years. And I think now, with things like AI commentary coming along, and the way that it can actually reversion you in different languages, well, potentially it opens you up to be able to do it in Spanish, German, whatever language you want. Still be you, right? Because there's lots it can do, but allow that to open up new markets.
I think... thank you for listening. We're going to have to move on. But if you don't already subscribe to Manny on YouTube, go and subscribe, watch some videos. I was watching your recreation of goals with Miniminter. I saw you singing the script as one of your
I won't do it today, don't worry.
You might have a career in singing going forward if you decide to change.
Another life.
But thank you for listening. And yes, here's to thinking more like a creator as sports media in the future.
Thank you.